The WoW team is on a campaign to build faith and trust, and it's a mix of hope and doubt. Hey, it's Soul, and this is Warcraft Weekly, the show that pulls content out of thin air. If I've earned it, hit the like button, subscribe for more coverage, catch me live on Twitch, and we'll start with a short summary of what went down this week. Season of Discovery Season 2 launched with 15 new levels, tons of runes, dolled up features, and a dungeon turned raid for folks to challenge, and never mind, it's already done. Now selling carries, because GDKP is dead. Meanwhile, the WoW team announced that 10.2.6 for Dragonflight would mostly be encrypted. I'm no longer seeing a flag, but more like a curtain. While that information is going to stay under wraps, they also revealed more of what's coming in the War Within, with 4 more hero talent specs, bringing us closer to understanding just how the middling of skills and talents is going to feel like in the next expansion. Later, we'll have a bit of discussion about what I mean when I say that the WoW team is trying to build faith in its game and in the team itself. Not quite shocking to say, but Season of Discovery turned out to be a hit, which further demonstrates that while hashtag no changes brings the nostalgia, hashtag get nasty is a great contrast once folks are tired of the same old thing. As we enter this next phase, we have a pretty good confirmation of the formula behind the roadmap. There's going to be a round of new levels and dungeons to play through. There's a dungeon that's turned into a raid, and there's some quote endgame progression with crafted recipes and gear that smokes what you would normally get at that level. What happens at level 60 though, with raid releases and raid sizes and new runes, that's anyone's guess. A lot of the FOMO kind of fun comes from the actual discovering of things, the reason to consider playing early on to take part in figuring things out as a community. That only works thanks to basically all of its content being hidden from the likes of data mining up until the last week or so. And that makes sense, right? Vanilla, old school vanilla, and I guess classic too, it's a solved game. So adding a little bit of discovery wouldn't hit so good if we knew everything weeks in advance. And of course, for the rest of us who come in late and we missed out on the discovering anyway, and by the way, I lump myself in this group, it's still gonna feel different. And that's the best that I can ask for in this kind of game mode. Different experiences, new memories to make in the old game. Meanwhile, with the upcoming 10.2.6 patch, the WoW team, inspired by the success of Season of Discovery, they had to almost kind of walk on eggshells when announcing that whatever is coming in this patch would not be testable on the PTR and would remain a surprise to players. But that's not going to stop the speculation train. Let's pick out a few phrases. They created what they think is a unique event inspired by past musings from the community, whatever that means. It's open to anyone with a WoW subscription, so I guess it doesn't matter if you don't have the Dragonflight expansion box. And it's coming in March, which falls well within the 8 to 10 week patch cadence. Side note, I'm gonna guess maybe 9 weeks, meaning March 19th. That's gonna be right after the Hearthstone anniversary period ends. Also in this statement is a demonstration of clear understanding that this move is going to be considered by the team to be a risky experiment. It could be a bit bumpy, and there will likely be hiccups. What I find exciting is that whatever's coming in 10.2.6 is for everybody, not just Dragonflight players. Now, think of Classic and Season of Discovery. You don't need an extra expansion box for those, meaning that anyone who plays Dragonflight right now can play Classic with no barriers, but it doesn't quite work the other way around. Season of Discovery brings a mix of both Classic fans and pretty much any WoW player who's interested in something that feels different. So again, no barriers. So 10.2.6 is an experiment to again appeal to every audience with the accessibility, but instead of the classic client, it's going to use the modern client with its graphics and its muscle and its collections. Praise be for the collections tab feature thing. Lots of guesswork to be had, considering it's going to try to reach to all kinds of WoW players. Surely it's not going to be a max level experience or one that needs flying or dragon riding to suddenly learn. I'm going to say that it might be something that one can experience, I guess, at level 10 or so. That gives new Dragonflight players a chance to create a character, get their feet wet in Exile's Reach, and to have a mount. So on one end, you have these new players, low-level characters who have at most a 60% mount speed increase, and then on the other end, you got folks like me. I'm bringing my level 70 tank with the flying wood dragon. So our experience is probably going to meet in the middle somehow. Now, maybe it won't, and maybe there will be two completely different kinds of experiences with this event. But if we're all playing together, maybe whatever this is going to be fully instanced. Maybe we'll be like stuck on the ground for the most part, because it would feel kind of janky, right? If I'm lumbering to some objective on my basic mount and I'm watching max level characters swoop in on their dragon riding mounts like packs of vultures. If there is going to be any discovering to be had in whatever this is, it's not going to feel great if some people are moving so slow that they can't participate. But I also don't see the WoW team telling someone, okay, hey guys, sorry, but you have to make a new character because, hey, I want to play my character. Forcing me to play an alt means that's going to be a throwaway character, and that doesn't really feel right. The last thing on their statement was that 10.2.6 would also contain all of the changes and assets that will kick off Season 4 of Dragonflight, and that a PTR for Season 4 would begin not long after the patch releases. I'll make some broad guesses here, but I'm going to say that the Season 4 will probably start mid-April, which will make Season 3's length somewhere between Seasons 1 and 2. It's still pretty full. And then Season 4, including the War Within pre-patch, it's going to be a little bit shorter with an expansion release date of late August. Now, this is based on a 9-week patch cadence and a 5-week pre-patch period. I'm also totally 100% correct, so start setting your vacation days. I'm just kidding. It's not all hidden surprises this week, though. Also this week, the WoW team released 4 new hero specs for us to pick apart and make fun of. We've got Keeper of the Grove for druids, we've got Dark Ranger hunters, Frostfire mages, and Oracle priests. Unlike whatever's coming in 10.2.6, they want our feedback for not just a feature, but kind of a transformative change to our classes that's gonna last for years to come. From this lineup, I was most impressed by the Frostfire mage spec. It reads like it's gonna be a good bit of fun. Meanwhile, top players are up in arms over the Oracle Priest spec that goes really deep into support spec territory. Lower heads insist that Dark Ranger hunters are ethically wrong, and the Keeper of the Grove druid is it's just trees. You can't go wrong there. There's still a lot of specs to go though, and there's no telling if all of them are going to be available for testing right when the War Within alpha begins, which lines up with previous alphas, I guess. You know, those didn't have all the class related stuff available early on either. For now though, that's where we're at, and if you've missed my quick coverage, it's not very quick, but I did go over all of the specs in a previous video. Let's talk about faith and trust in the WoW team, which is already setting up a cynical response, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I don't blame you though. But what they've announced and launched this week brings up this question of how much do we trust the devs to release patches that are largely untested? How much faith do we have when they ask for our feedback, wondering if it's going to be listened to? Now, you might already have your answer, but between the events and statements this week, the energy that I'm feeling from this sums up to they're trying to build trust or maybe restore faith that might have been lost. Dragonflight so far has proven that the team is capable of delivering in a timeline that really blows previous expansions out the water. Like a year-long raid with 0 updates until the next expansion, that's a thing of the past, and I'm grateful. I'm not the only one to feel that way either. Like, consider just these past few weeks when we were expecting news and folks started losing their freaking minds. We're already taking these regular updates for granted, and there'll continue to be conversations of quantity versus quality. And we should keep having them, but I'm emphasizing they're building our trust in, if nothing else, a schedule. Think about 10.2.5. It came out a few weeks ago, and maybe you weren't impressed. But in the back of your mind, you know that in a couple weeks it's going to be March, and hey, we're going to get another patch. We just don't know what's in it, but at least you know it's coming. Up until recently though, a patch would drop and some of us would be like, okay, I'm kind of bored, what's next? Not quite knowing when that was going to be. 10.2.6 is going to hit different. Trust us, the WoW team is trying to say. What's interesting about WoW is that for the longest time, players have just been accustomed to the PTR and data mining, seeing assets months in advance, having guides to features before they're fully fleshed out, and assumptions that everyone should know what they're doing like on the first day. When 10.2.6 launches, the most that we might get is, as long as you're level 10, you go to your capital city or something, and then all of us are going to be like, okay, well, my LUI is broken, I literally can't do anything until it's fixed. Okay, it's fixed. Okay, cool. And then, hey, we're off to adventure, the blind leading the blind. We had the PTR for so long that broadly players have a general distrust of anything that wasn't previously tested. Now this sentiment doesn't come from nowhere. There's a whole list of features that were busted primarily because we didn't get a chance to find bugs or give feedback. And there's another list of times that we can pat ourselves on the back because our PTR feedback caused change. But the problem, if you want to call it that, is that anything that goes untested is going to be looked at with great skepticism. One part of me is hopeful and excited, and the other is like, yeah, okay, let's see how it goes this time. Whatever the case, this week is telling me that the WoW team is ready to challenge themselves more and has enough faith in itself to deliver. And they're working to build our trust, whether it was lost or was never there in the first place. And I like the energy. They're not coasting, they're clawing for our attention. If nothing else, I see that. So I'm going to follow their advice, and in the days before the patch, I'm not going to get too worked up or hyped over a tattered towel, but I'm eager to play what's next, so I hope you join me. That's the show, and we've got to give thanks to the very supportive folks over on Twitch and Patreon. We can't forget about you, either viewer who made it to the end. Thanks a bunch. Now all you got to do is hit the like button, subscribe for more coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.